put me in the conversation with the all-time greats, being that they all had dancing partners. They all had all those top fighters that was fighting each other that would allow them to be great. I didn't beat some good fighters in my days, but at the same time, it wasn't no pound for pound against pound for pound. It wasn't no Hagler versus Hearn or no. Those fights are the fights that elevate you to being one of the greatest that there is. And I didn't have those big names to share the ring with.
When I was a casual, I thought as a casual, I spoke like a casual, and I looked at boxing like a casual. But when I became a hardcore, I put away all those casual things. This is Michael Rogers, and welcome to BodyWorkBoxing.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to BodyWorkBoxing, where we don't take things for face value. Today's topic, I want you guys to stick with me. I'm gonna try to make it real fast, and I ain't really got time to slow down because really this show is not for the casuals. You might learn something if you are casual, but this is really for my hardcores because the way this boxing game is set up, man, the politics, the narrative, the personal motives, the capitalism and all this, it'll get your head spinning. And if you're not focused and you don't keep your eyes on the prize, you will get lost. Let me pull your coattail to a couple things. Now, this series is the Aged Well Games. This is the Bud Crawford edition. And I really wanted, this really could be an hour show. I'm not going to go over the resume because I got a series coming out called Resume X-Ray, in which we actually evaluate these fighters' resumes because to my defense, I was the first one to actually talk about the whole David Benavidez, because everybody was pumping him up, and I said, man, let me go check out his resume. Utterly disappointed. And I've seen other channels where they already went over Bud's resume, so I'm not gonna steal anybody's thunder, but I'll save that for a ring resume and give my tidbits on it and what really happened as far as his resume. This is not about the resume. This is about a chain of events that actually happened, in which at the conclusion of this video, if Bud Crawford does what I think he's going to do instead of fighting Errol Spence, this will not age well, sir. It's already not going to age well because there's several contradictions. But let me just go down this timeline, right? It was a minute ago, right? And if this, if it gets a lot of attention and people really want to actually dive into it and they get the views that it is supposed to get, I'll actually go down the timeline and actually get a specific dates of this. But what I'll say is, one Teddy Atlas, and this is why I rock with Teddy. Teddy Atlas had came out. He was the first one to come out and say that the Bud Crawford contract was going to be up and he wasn't going to renew. Teddy Atlas is the first one that I actually heard say that, and this was well before not well before, but this was before the contract ended, and he said per his sources that the Bud contract was going to be up and that he was not going to renew with Top Rank. Mind you, there were rumors that Bud Crawford was going to fight one Josh Taylor, the undisputed champ at the 140-pound division, which Bud is the former undisputed champ at 140 pounds, right? So around this time, T.O. had been calling out Josh Taylor. I got a video talking about this. I'll try to find that video and put it at the end of this video. I'll try to find that video and put it at the end of this video, right? T.O. had been calling out Josh Taylor. And so Bob had already set it up because T.O. came back into the fold after he did his whole Triller thing and they wet the bed and all that shenanigans happened. But Bob had already secured a 2 pay-per-view fight deal and a regular fight deal, all with T.O. in mind, right? Because they, everybody thought that T.O. was gonna go in there and watch KAMBOSOS. I don't know if it was the setbacks. I don't know if it was the restarting of the clock, the movement of the dates. Bumping heads with Floyd at first, and they pushed the date, and then Triller pushed the date, and then T.O. got COVID, and KAMBOSOS stayed training. He stayed focused like the Spartan that he says he is, right? So KAMBOSOS upset the apple cart. KAMBOSOS was not supposed to win, guys. He wasn't. That wasn't in the stars. That left Bob Arum in a very tough spot, right? So now Bob had to save face. That's when he came out and say that T.O.'s esophagus blew up and all this, saying crazy stuff, right? But then I don't know, I think it was maybe on Barbershop Conversation. On one of them channels he was on, Bob came out and said that, hey, regardless if the contract is going to be up or what have you, we're willing to entertain Bud on a fight-by-fight basis. And man, I wish I would have done this video. It's just like when I said that KAMBOSOS was going to fight Loma, and I got a video. Go back through my videos. Just go back through my videos. Just respect me enough to go back through my videos and said that all this bullshit that KAMBOSOS was doing, he was either going to fight T.O. in a rematch or fight Loma. I been said it. Just go back to the videos. I'm not a facetious person. I'm not narcissistic. I don't need all the credit. Go back and watch it. I want to talk to y'all, but I wish I would have did a video about how Bud was going to fight Josh Taylor all along. Why you say that, Mike? Because Spence was in the midst of actually having to fight a mandatory. And the WBC convention had just been held. They came together with their meetings in which they was pretty much going to, don't quote me, but you can go back and look it up for yourself. They was going to go from 64 belts down to like 22 belts or something like that. I might not have it down to the specific whatever for all these stupid people who just want to, like, take up on me for not having the numbers right. But it was going to go from a significant amount of belts and like around about 64 down to like 22 belts, right? And so they was not, Earl and UGAS had already had a fight in place to where Earl was going to fight the winner of the Pacquiao and UGAS fight, because Earl was supposed to fight Pacquiao and he got the detached retina, right? And so after that, nobody knew what was going to happen, because Earl might have faced the mandatory. They might have had UGAS trapped up in the mandatory with Stan Jonas, and Earl might have had to be, because he had mandatories that he hadn't faced, so he was going to have to face them. So what happened is Bud actually beats 1 foot in, 1 foot out Sean Porter. Bud went ham. Bud started talking all kind of shit. Bud fans started going all crazy, and I guess out in the boxing streets, the casual fans, Bud had all the clout at that time, even though I got my salmon colored shirt. I don't know if y'all noticed. This is my salmon colored shirt, because this big fish country, but I'm gonna remain biased in this whole timeline, right? So after after Bud beats Sean Porter, the YouTube boxing community starts putting up this unified front to support Bud, and we gotta support Bud, and because he left Bob. And right after the fight, he said that Bob could not guarantee him the fight with Spence, so he left. And that's what gave them the green light or the opening to actually jump on Bud's lap again and start sweating Bud. But it was all some bullshit, because I put out a video about Bud's lawsuit triggers fake black. He basically pulled his black card, you know what I'm saying? And all the people that be all into the racial bias and all that, try to get caught up in all that, they actually fell for it. They start fighting for it, and it got ugly. I was enraged. I did a rant. I apologize. I did a rant. I get emotional. I get passionate. I love boxing, right? And I'm all about the truth. I'm all about the facts. I try to truly be unbiased. My only bias is with southpaws, and I tell people that. And even if it's a good orthodox fighter against a southpaw, I might choose the orthodox fighter, but my only bias is with the southpaws. Note for future references. Anyways, Josh Taylor has a fight with his mandatory in Jack Catterall. Josh Taylor suffers a leg injury, right? And when Josh Taylor suffers a leg injury, nobody knows what's going on with Josh Taylor. It was rumors that he was going to move up to 147 and fight Bud, but nobody knows, because when T.O. lost, that set in. When T.O. lost and then Bud left, that set in a domino effect, because Bob got these dates with ESPN. And watch my videos. I state this stuff in my videos. Just go back and watch. It set in the domino effect. So nobody knew what was going on with Josh Taylor, right? T.O. lost. They don't know what he gonna do. Is he gonna stay at 135? He gonna move it to 140? Because it was supposed to be the unified champ. Some people was claiming undisputed. Some people was claiming disputed, even though the WBC recognized the franchise belt as that superior belt above the regular BC championship, which Devin Haney has. However you want, I'm not going to get into that. I've talked about that so many times, but it was supposed to be undisputed at 135 in T.O. against undisputed in Josh Taylor. But a more attractive fight would have been Josh Taylor undisputed at 140 fighting the former undisputed at 140 champion, the WBO champion, in Bud Crawford at 47, moving up the same way Bud fought Jeff Horn. Only it would have been undisputed against former undisputed. Blockbuster fight on paper. Skill wise, depends on who you like and what you think. You know what I'm saying? Even though Josh Taylor is the real deal, Bud is renowned as one of the pound for pound greats in the sport. Not here to talk about his skill level, none of that. I'm here to go over this timeline. So Bud started shopping himself into no avail. Eddie Hearn don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Bob already said he could build a house on Beverly Hills based on all the money that he lost on one Bud Crawford, right? Then Bud goes and makes this interview with Radio Raheem. In the interview, he claims that Errol Spence is eager for the fight. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. You know, black fans were the reason why the fight didn't happen. All this bullshit, right? The only truth in that was that Errol Spence never ducked him. That was the only truth that he said. So he actually cleared it up that Errol Spence was never ducking that man, right? He goes on to thank the UK fans. He goes on to say that the UK fans are the best fans in the world. Let's note. Now, Bob comes out here recently. Bob says that the lawsuit is some shenanigans, some bullshit, you know what I'm saying? And that a fight between Josh Taylor and Bud Crawford would be a fight that can easily be made if both fighters want to fight, and it would do tremendous numbers in the UK. So do I need to retract on you? I just said that Bud did an interview with Radio Raheem because he went over to the Amir Khan and Kell Brook fight. Got all that publicity. Says that the UK fans are the best. And then right after that, Bob comes out and said that that fight is a mega fight in the UK if both fighters want to make it, and he would not be against it because he had already said on Barbershop Conversation that he would entertain a one fight deal, a case by case deal. Josh Taylor got a fight coming up this week against CATTERAL. If he gets past that fight, Eureka! What I failed to mention was, we're not going to talk about the shenanigans about Bernie, the "you make my balls itch" assistant of Bud, and all the comments that he made. We're not going to talk about, we're not even going to talk about the focus. Let's focus. There we go. We're not even going to talk about the BS that he said about moving up for Charlo. And we're not even going to talk about, even though it's Black History Month, we're not even going to talk about this whole fake black fans need to stick together BS when the whole time Bud and his team, Bud and Bomac, be taking up on Earl Spence. And we're not even going to talk about that. And I hope the people that's following along with what I'm telling you guys as a eureka moment. You remember that episode on Martin when Martin and Gina got into it? You remember that? And Martin was showing off on this talk show because he wanted to impress his fans. So then he came home and he had to actually see Gina. And so he took Gina back in the room and they had it out, and Gina was about to leave his ass. And Martin was back there like, Gina, no. You know what I'm saying? Because he told her to step. And when she started stepping, he was like, no, Gina. Remember that? And then she was like, look, Martin, you're going to respect me and blah, blah, blah. He was like, I know, baby, but you know what I'm saying? I got, basically, he's basically saying this is all about business. Right? And so he was like, man, look, when we go outside, can you make it look like I won? Can you make it look like I won? And she was like, okay, Martin. And so then we went out. He was like, and you bet not do it next time. And he was actually, you know what I'm saying? And then Tommy actually pulled his card and was like, she hurt you. She hurt you bad. You remember that? I wanted to do a video so bad. When Bud came out and said that he was going to leave. He was leaving Bob, and because he didn't get the Errol Spence fight, that episode came to mind. These are some slicksters. This Bud versus Taylor was the play the whole time. It's no way in the world that Errol Spence is getting ready to fight UGAS for the third belt. And the whole time, Errol Spence been consistent in what he been saying. I'm going to clean up my side of the street over here at PBC. And then I'm coming for that last belt, whoever has it. Bud been having that belt the whole time. Bud's first fight at 47 was one Jeff Horn, which he took the belt. Bud ain't took another belt ever since. And he wanted to relax on his laurels because he feel like he done enough at 140. This has been the play the whole time. So him and Bob probably got together and said, oh yeah, go ahead and file a lawsuit, man. File it. It's never gonna go to trial. You know what we got for you. Josh Taylor win this fight against Jack Catterall in his hometown. They already done, you know what I'm saying, primed the fans over in the UK for what's going on. He don't want to go see Al to go ahead and get that fight. Bud is getting raked up. And if you go over there and you fight one Josh Taylor instead of fighting one Earl Spence for undisputed, for one, you're selfish, you're stingy, you don't care about legacy because you feel like you fulfilled your legacy, which is cool. Kudos to you for what you did at 140, sir. This is 147. And what you did back in high school don't relate to what you're actually doing out here in the professional ranks. Simple enough. I can't make it more simple, man. This was the play all the time for Bud to fight one Josh Taylor. If you don't believe me, go do your homework. And if I get enough likes and views, I will do the timeline of all these events. Prove me wrong. Like, comment, and subscribe. We feed the clones here. All subscribers matter. Thanks for the growth. Body work.
All right. I believe you. But my Tommy gun don't. Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
My word, I do what I do. He knows what I'm about to tell him right now. It's Mr. Keep running your mouth. That's what I do.
I just feel like I'm the champ, and at the end of the day, I'm just a fighting motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Inside, outside, I can just fight. So I just feel like if it gets down to the wire, and we gotta lock it up, I'm out on top.
Hey, look, as you can see how I'm looking, I stay solid. I'm always solid. I stay fuck solid up, man. You know what I'm saying? To the fans and all that.
You jump outside the ring. I'm a fighter. Like I said before, ain't no safety on the clock, so